Good morning, YouTube. It is December 1st, 2022, 6:36 a.m., and I'm in front of Circle K. In case you couldn't see it, I was in front of Circle K. Had an exceptionally productive morning since getting off work, and yeah, I did go to work last night. Arrived on time, just barely, which is impressive because I kind of overslept again. But this sounds like Beck. I think it is. I'm listening to the Pulse. They play music that I'm not always familiar with, that I enjoy, which I wish more stations did that. Anyway, look at Castaways. I didn't get in the screen very much. Anyway, Castaways all decorated for Christmas, looking good. Yeah, after work, got out the building like right at 5:30 and went to the bank. Still had enough money in it to cover my rent. And went and got the money order, and already swung by and handed off the money order to my landlord. So yeah, went to the nearest Circle K. Hang on, I gotta twist this. The world is crooked. Okay, it's better now. Yeah, so went by the nearest Circle K, got my sip and save drink, and was pleasantly surprised to find out that wow, did you all see that? How much space there is between the nearest vehicle by me here at the light and the one behind him? That's way back there. Oh my goodness. I see a lot of that these days, and I don't get that. Like, literally, there's the length of a school bus between the vehicle on my left and the vehicle behind him. If I was the car behind me, I would have changed lanes and pulled in front of him just to give him a reality check of, dude, you are way too far back. That's not a place you're supposed to stop. What the hell? Anyway, yeah, so went to Circle K, got my sip and save drink. That Circle K has Arizona green tea on their fountain, and it was not out, so that's always a plus because I don't get it very often at Circle K. Definitely hitting the spot. And there's usually a deal going on with the purchase of a fountain drink, which using the sip and save counts as a purchase. So even though I'm not paying anything for my drink, I still get whatever the smoking deal is that comes with the purchase of a drink. And all last month, there's been a few different things, but of the different things that are offered, the one that's my favorite is the Bugles. For the big bag of the Bugles for $1.50, which is a smoking deal. Normally that bag is like $3. And I expected, since today was the first, that deal would be over. And so really, really happy to find out. I was just going to get my drink. I'm like, I don't know what the deal is this month. I don't see any signs. I go up to drink, and when I was checking out, it popped the same image of the Bugles on the screen. And I'm like, ooh, they're still on sale. Got to go get those. Anyway, small victories. Big bag of Bugles for $1.50. Puts me in a good mood. It does. So that's not what I was starting this to talk about, and I don't have a very long drive on what I'm doing right now. So I should probably get to the point. Had something really freaking weird happen today at work at Amazon. That created, I was on Totes today, which I'm not on Totes very much anymore. Generally speaking, for the last month or so, Alex has been trying to keep me on the south side outbound docks with her, loading trucks, which I'm absolutely happy to be there. And lately I've been trying to keep myself on the at the group of docks that's farthest away from her leadership table. Not like I'm trying to be near her, but I found if I'm closer to her, that I've got to deal with John running a lot of pallet receive backwards and forwards through my zone, which after a while starts to drive me nuts. So definitely that, I find that the trucks that she puts further at the other end tend to be the ones with busier destinations. Like most of the time I try to grab the one that has the outbound truck for PHX5, because I might load 2 full trucks of cargo going to PHX5, which is all of about maybe 8 miles away from where we are. But they don't prep product like we prep, I believe. Maybe they do, but based on the volume of stuff we send to them, I got a feeling we prep all the product for them. Anyway, so she runs, I work, in case you haven't noticed that, I work Wednesday through Sunday, plus an extra random day, because of the mandatory overtime that seems to show no sign of ending. And it's been canceled, but that's a separate tragedy that I'll explain later. But because I'm still working an extra day in spite of the fact that it ended, I'm actually cool with it. It's I can use the extra money right now. So anyway, anyway, she runs that shift on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, as far as like assigning, who's working what position for forklift drivers. And generally speaking, she never assigns me to totes anymore, because totes is kind of less involved than loading trucks. And generally speaking, like the newer either new trainee drivers or drivers that are coming from inbound that have not worked in outbound before. That's actually how I got to doing totes. But anyway, that's kind of where you start as a forklift driver in the outbound docks. So anyway, yeah, so on the nights I'm working, there's usually somebody who is newer that's doing the totes, which is fine. I'm quite happy loading the truck for PHX5 over and over, and then whatever doors that are near me. And I've gotten efficient enough. It's not unusual for me to handle the last 6 doors by myself. But that's not what I was wanting to talk about. I'm already to my destination here at Fry's, so I'm going to go ahead and get some groceries, and I'll be back to explain what happened tonight that was different, and hopefully I can keep my focus when I get back. And I'm back, and the station is playing such good music this morning. I can't even remember the last time I heard Echo and the Bunnymen on the radio. That's awesome. I would totally love to sing this at my karaoke show, but it would just be lost on the crowd at Bullock's. Which doesn't mean I won't ever do it. Sometimes I'm in the mood for that sort of thing, but I'm saying Morrissey there, so it's probably less on point than this is. Anyway, so as I was saying, last night, when I showed up, Alex was actually kind of apologetic. She's like, hey, you're on totes. It's back half running the show tonight, so I don't really get to make the decision. I'm like, I'm cool. I like doing totes. I think she forgot that I actually enjoy doing totes. And even though I've kind of moved on to loading trucks, and that's kind of a different thing, and I really enjoy that, the tote thing still feels like a virtual reality video game to me. But it took on a whole new level last night in 2 different ways, both of which kind of bordered on the ridiculous. So there's this one driver, and I don't want to put out his name there, so I'm just gonna say, we'll just call him W. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't dislike him, but I'm not a big fan of him. He's been suspended twice, and granted, so have I. But both times he's been suspended for forklift driving, it's been over just kind of ridiculous, careless kind of stuff. And he's still kind of like that. Like when he's working near me, I have to really keep my eyes open for him, because he'll just walk right through where I'm working without waiting for me to stop. And being suspended twice hasn't really cured him of that either. So there's been other like similar type safety things where he's been, I don't know, I just think he doesn't care. But anyway, that's a separate tragedy. That's not where I was going. The thing actually that bugs me the most is that when I'm there, I work pretty hard. And if you're the kind of person that works hard, when you're surrounded by somebody that takes slacking to a higher level, it's annoying. Oh, by the way, did y'all see that sign? They finally got a sign saying exactly what's going on in the construction zone here, where the Montgomery Ward Auto Center for Thomas Mall was many years ago. Yes, Costco gas station coming soon. So I kind of figured that's what it was when I saw the last sign up here, but now finally some kind of official sign saying it. So kind of eager to see how this all kind of goes. Although I still really miss that building and bummed that Angel's Trumpet is gone. But anyway, back to the W thing. So he yeah, it's not unusual when I'm working with him that he will spend probably half the night away from his forklift. I don't know where he goes, but I don't see him working. Like when I'm away from my forklift, you don't have to look very far to find me. I'm pulling a pallet jack, backing up the water spiders, and just getting more work. Initially more work to my loading zones, but then if I'm not finding a lot of work for my loading zones, and I'm just trying to get more work to the other guys' loading zones, and I'm trying to get stuff out of the area that the other water spiders are maybe not messing with. Usually I can find a couple of stray pallets that had problems with them that need to be hauled to inbound. And yeah, the regular outbound water spiders just don't even want to walk that far. And for me, it's a nice diversion and kills time until I have more product to more stuff to load in my outbound trucks. By the way, getting a breakfast burrito at Salad and Go. Tried to get one yesterday, but I got here like right at 6 a.m. to find out they don't open until 6:30.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Salad. What can I get for you?
Good morning. Just want to get a Fiesta breakfast burrito with the salsa verde.
Okay, will that be all for you?
That's it.
Alrighty, we'll have the photo for you out the window. Thank you.
Sweet, thank you. This is surprisingly much better and a little bit cheaper than Quick Trip, and they're huge. I mean, compared to Quick Trip. Oh my God, you guys are so fast. Thank you. Is my receipt in the back? No? No receipt? No, you off the sheet. Wow. She gone. I didn't get a receipt. That's all right. I got a pop-up message from Discover Card. I actually saw it over my recording thing. So, all right. At least I got record of it. I'm good. Anyway, you know, I'm almost home, but I really want to finish the story. And normally at moments like that, I just go for a walk around the neighborhood and keep talking. But it's cold out right now. Like, I don't know how cold, and the battery is dead in the Obama phone, so I can't exactly pop it up to see the temperature. But let's just say it's nippy, and I'm sure within a short amount of time my hand would just be cold from holding the phone. So I'm just gonna keep rolling around in the car. I got over 3/4 of a tank of gas right now, and the heat in here feels really good. And y'all want to see the neighborhood, right? It's a beautiful neighborhood, beautiful morning. Yeah, and Wayne tends to disappear from his forklift for extended periods of time. I don't know where he goes or what he does, but I don't see him anywhere near working. And I've certainly heard no stories of, oh yeah, he's running pallets down to inbound. Like, generally when I disappear out of the area, it's because there's literally nothing there in the immediate area to do, and I'll go to outbound, take problematic pallets there to get fixed. Sometimes they'll fix them for me right away, because that was my home department for ages. They'll fix them for me right away. I'll bring them right back. Other times they just have me park it somewhere, and it gets handled when it gets handled, and sent back to inbound when it gets sent back to inbound by whoever they sent it with. And then if I walk that far, I'll usually go through the pallet receive overflow buffer and just kind of see what's there, see if there's anything for the trucks I'm working on, and if there's anything I recall the drivers working the doors adjacent to me working on, and I'll bring them right up. Which gets them to the trucks faster than its usual chain of action, which is waiting until there's room in loading zones 10A and 10B, and then getting moved into there, and then waiting until whoever's working on pallet receive and inbound can get through them, and then eventually drive them across. So, and yeah, it doesn't hurt anything to get those processed a little bit quicker when I got the time to actually do it. So anyway, I'm going to talk about the guy that's kind of a slacker. So yeah, I don't know where he goes when he's not working. And I'm sure sometimes there's some people that wonder the same thing about me, to be completely fair. And sometimes I'm trying to find an available bathroom, but that's a separate tragedy. Anyway, the other thing he does, and it was just funny, he was working in the zone next to me. So the first loading zone on the south side was being done by Edwin, who doesn't speak very good English. Good guy, actually was kind of my main TDR guy, not last night, but the night before. No issues with Edwin at all. Edwin's a damn hard worker. But other than sometimes there's a little bit of a language barrier between us, but yeah, we're generally all right. But anyway, so he was working 3 doors, the last 3 doors, all of which seemed to be pretty darn busy. I was working the next 3 doors. The first one, I probably put 1 pallet in it all night, but the next 2 over, excuse me, the next one was busy, and then the next one was PHX5, which is always busy as hell. So, wow, Devon's school looks like it's under construction. Wonder what's up with that. There was a time I really wanted to transfer Lily to that school. Of course, now she's, I think, too old for it. But anyway, oh look, there goes a butterfly. So anyway, the dang, train of thought completely derailed right there. Anyway, so the next work zone over, and it wasn't until after lunch that Wayne just suddenly showed up there. I don't know where he came from, but suddenly he's there working, and I'm using working with air quotes, working. He shows up there on a forklift, and he's got this stance that he does. I kind of want to take a picture of it, which I'm not really supposed to do that sort of thing. It's kind of not cool, but he has this stance that he gets in. It's like, I swear to God, I'm starting calling it the Wayne pose. Oh, by the way, I've mentioned a few times the cool asphalt. I don't think I've drove on it. One time I got the cool asphalt on film. I was actually walking through this neighborhood. So hey, let's drive through a neighborhood that has cool asphalt. This morning it's probably straight up cold asphalt, but there it is. It's kind of a dull gray color. It does look cool. It's a different sort of look. Kind of neat when more Phoenix streets are covered like this. Anyway, so yeah, he gets in this pose where he's got one foot on the floor and then one foot up in the forklift with that knee bent, and then he has his phone laid down in the forklift. He's scrolling on it and looking at it, and other times like he's not, and you can get in trouble for that. I don't see where it's a problem if you're not moving or anything, but it is one of those things that you can be in trouble for at Amazon. But other times, like, he's not looking at his phone, he's literally just staring off into space. I don't even know what he's looking at. It just looks like he's staring into space, and he'll hold that pose. He'll hold that pose for a long time, staring into space, which has me wondering, damn, how high are you? Anyway, so yeah, he came in. I didn't even know he was there. Like, the first half of the night, there was no W on the south side outbound docks. Last time I saw him was a couple nights before, when I had showed up late and I ended up working on in the outbound docks, which I don't know if I mentioned that. I don't think I did, because I've been shooting a lot of videos this week. But yeah, I came in a little bit late. And Alex was like, oh yeah, we got too many people here. It was mandatory overtime going on, so there was like two shifts worth of staff there, as opposed to the usual Monday night people. And she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't, I wasn't even late. Like, I was maybe about 10 minutes late to stand up. Stand up was like just wrapping up. And she's like, oh yeah, I already got too many people. You can go check in with inbound. And of course, the same thing at inbound. They had too many, drivers there. So I just ended up water spidering until a ways after lunch. It was a while after lunch where I forget his name. He's one of the main guys that does pallet receive, but he also does driving. He's actually the one that did my last retrain. The practical part of it, as far as like the on the forklift part of it. Anyway, he was busy actually doing problem solve, bringing in, I don't even know what the hell you call it, but adding it to the inventory stuff, pallet receive stuff, to the point where he didn't have time to be on a forklift. You got the right away, kiddo. Oh, they're playing the Fleetwood Mac. Sad news, Christine McVie died yesterday. So it's kind of and granted, this is not a Christine McVie song, it's a Stevie Nicks song, but still, yeah, Fleetwood Mac not gonna be the same without Christine McVie for sure. Anyway, yeah, so that morning I ended up, they had a live load that was where he was working, and I unloaded that truck, and then afterwards they put me on wood pallets, which I haven't done in ages. And holy crap, if I'd have known I was any chance of me getting on wood pallets, since I was already water spidering, I would have been in the wood pallet loading zone, straightening them up, because once I got in there, it was like, oh, I don't want to do this. Is a mess. Yikes. Anyway, I'm getting farther and farther away from what I was wanting to talk about, and it kind of does part of it. Wow, look at all those birds on that stoplight pole. Hang on, I gotta. It always trips me out when I see that many birds in one place. Like, what's going on with that traffic light pole that has all the birds attracted to it. Maybe I've watched Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds one too many times. Maybe. There was a point after I'd watched that movie a couple of times late at night when I was pretty young, probably too young to be watching that movie, where walking underneath that many birds in one place made me nervous as hell. And it still does sometimes. Anyhow, oh, by the way, for those who don't know, Camelback Mountain directly ahead of us, looking very cool. I'm not sure exactly which house, but one of the houses up there is where Stevie Nicks lives. The woman's singing on the radio right now. It's kind of cool to know she's almost my neighbor. I do believe Alice Cooper lives up there too. Anyway, yeah, I got sidetracked talking about Monday night, Tuesday morning. Anyway, I did see Wayne. That was I hadn't seen Wayne in a while. I thought Wayne was suspended from driving finally again, but no, he was unloading trucks over an outbound, and I kind of thought they kind of pushed him out, or over an inbound, my bad, inbound, and I kind of thought they sort of pushed him away from outbound because he does tend to just disappear when there's work to be done. And then he leaves his forklift there because when his forklift is there, it's in the way for anybody else to come in and work in that zone. And then there's, as I said, there's the Wayne pose where he's 1 foot on the forklift, 1 foot off the forklift, staring into space. He's a character, he really is. Anyway, like I'm room to talk on that, right? All right, I think it should be angled more up the mountain. There we go. Like the sunlight on it, the sunrise and like that. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I was like, oh, that's what happened to him. He's working in inbound now, unloading trucks. Good place for him. Good for Wayne. So, anyway, so it surprised the hell out of me when, and this would have actually been Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, when suddenly he showed up at the next zone, loading zone over from me, which I would have been working whenever I get a break, would catch up on the PHX5 truck. And I look over and there's Wayne on the forklift in the pose. I'm like, ain't that some shit? And he must have stood there. He must have stood there like that for like 15 minutes while I was busting ass loading pallets into my trucks. And then suddenly he's gone, disappears for like a half hour, comes back, holds the pose again, like 10-15 minutes. This happened like 3 or 4 times before he finally came there. Oh, and then one time safety comes through, and it's the guy I had the run-in with like 7 months ago, 8 months ago about the way I stacked wood pallets. Him and I got a great understanding, and he's been gone for a long time. He's been on day shift, but he just recently came back to night shift. I was really glad to see him, and sometimes I kind of regret that. You know, I didn't even realize at the time, like when he offered to put me on the ASC, which is the basically the safety. You're not working for the safety department, but you're kind of like, but kind of yet you are. Yeah, when he offered me to that, I didn't even realize at the time like how unusual it was for somebody as new to Amazon as myself to be offered that position. I kind of regret not taking it. And I've been kind of thinking about hitting him up to do it again lately. But then part of me still really doesn't want to be the Amazon police. But anyway, he came through and he commented about my cell phone, my iPhone actually being on my forklift. Now, mind you, I never, ever, ever use my phone on my forklift. But I do keep it there when I'm not using it when I'm driving, just so I know where it was and know where it is and where I know nobody's messing with it. Rather than keeping it in my pocket where I have the chance of leaning on it wrong and screwing up the screen, or wow, look at that. I'm not sure if that's a new house under construction or a rebuild, but pretty wild. These are multi-million dollar houses up here on Camelback Mountain, by the way. And some of them look straight up like castles. I mean, like, look at those. Look at that one. Just wow. Just absolute wow. Yeah, probably not happening for me in this lifetime, but still so cool. It's cool to live close to this and be able to still afford it on my income. Anyway, so, oh gosh, where was I lost my train of thought again. I should really go home and call it a night. Eat my burrito and go to sleep. I'm just borderline giddy right now. But hey, it's been a while since I've done a really scenic drive on this vlog, so you know it's time. Anyway, so yeah, safety comes through, and I forget his name, but the guy had to run in earlier with pallets, offering the promotion, doo-da, and he's asking me, not to be confused with the guy that told me that I couldn't get out of that I had pallets in a way that I couldn't get out of the truck, and I'm thinking, dude, you're an idiot. Obviously, I can get out of the truck because I got into the truck. Not so fond of that guy, but the other guy I'm really cool with. Glad to have him back on the ship. And I feel like after I kind of held my ground on the wood pallet thing, and he was actually receptive to me explaining how I did it, and how, yeah, I realize I'm violating the 5 pallet rule, stacking them by myself, but let me show you exactly how I do it, why I do it, and how this is actually in the greater interest of safety. And it was, I was impressed he was receptive to that. So generally, whenever he says something, it's like, well, you're not supposed to do this. I'll be like, well, I'll explain to him why I do it. And he's usually suddenly cool with it. Anyway, I totally forgot. I totally name dropped my original forklift trainer, who was used to be the head of training night shift of forklift, Angel. And I totally forgot after I name dropped him that when Angel left night shift head of training for pit operators, that what he went on to was to work in safety at the day shift. So I didn't even realize he's been working alongside with Angel this whole time. So I picked a better name to drop than I even thought of. But and Angel and I always got along fabulously. So anyway, I remember right when I started, like, my concern was, like, I understood the whole concept of, hey, you can't be using your cell phone while you're on the forklift. Yeah, obviously I'm not going to do that because I need to pay attention to, you know, operating the forklift when I'm operating the forklift. But I'm not going to not have my cell phone on me, duh. And having it in my pocket, you know, is awkward and uncomfortable and runs the risk of cracking the screen. So it's like, well, hey, I understand it's not supposed to be on there, but if I put it on, and there's a little spot, I'm not even sure what the hell it's supposed to be for. It's an indentation that fits the phones perfectly. And I said, you know, how about would it be okay if I put it there? Wow, look at this, it's crazy. Like, the old houses here keep getting taken down and replaced by just even more outrageous mansions. Look at that. Too bad that dumpster's in the way. Y'all can't see more of it, but that looks like quite the fancy modern house going in there. Dang. Oh, and right now I'm near the head of Camelback Mountain, the part that's supposed to be the camel's head. Anyway, so anyway, yeah, I mentioned to, so anyway, I said that to Angel, that, hey, you know, this is not a good place. It's not good. Can I put it here? I'm not to use it, but just for safekeeping while I'm working. If I put the screen down, so it's very clear that I'm not paying attention to it at all. he's like, well, you know, as long as you're not touching it all while you're operating the forklift, and it's very visibly screened down, and anytime there's any kind of incident, if the video review is going to show that you're not even able to see the screen, then yeah, I don't see where that would be a problem. That's actually a pretty good idea. So that's and you know, when the safety guy was there, that's exactly how I had it. And so I explained it to him that, you know, that's kind of like, I discussed that when I was a new driver with, oh, this is kind of a cool old school house. I haven't seen this one in years. That's neat. Not a lot of square footage compared to the mansions they're building up here, but still neat architecture there. Anyway, I haven't driven this area in years. Going up Saddle Rock Drive. Anyway, after explaining that to him and that the reason, and explain to him that the main reason that I even keep it with me is not to be wasting time on my phone when I should be working, but that I actually use it, that anytime there's an incident with something in the truck and I need to show it to my PA or my AM, that I'll, you know, it's just sometimes easier to take a picture than it is to try to explain what it is and have them walk all the way back if they don't need to walk all the way back. Oh, now that one's neat. That one's actually that's old school mountainside house being remodeled. That's neat. I like that. I like what they're doing with it. And I like the fact they're rebuilding that and renovating it rather than just bulldozing it and building another mansion there. There's some other ones up on the hill. Those look cool. It's been so long since I've come up here. Hopefully I can remember how these roads go. Oh. I forgot I took it and put it in reverse. Whoops. Can't even imagine what these houses sell for, but I'm like, how many millions? I don't even know. But yeah, this is about as high dollar as Phoenix real estate gets through here, for residential anyway. Sharp curves ahead. No parking next 3/4 mile. Somebody's trophy wife out jogging, looking really good in yoga pants. Of course, I didn't see her from the front. She's probably older than me. Anyway, it's what a personal trainer will do to your body when you're over 50. Anyway, where was I? Just scenic drive. Yeah. So anyway, so I told him, it's like, yeah, I never ever use my phone. If I'm pulling my phone out, it's because I need it for that, or I'm using it as a calculator to figure out exactly how many pallets I need to pull to make sure that the manifest lines up. And I'm showing him how the manifest works with the screen, you know, checking for discrepancies with that, and so on and so forth. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I said, I can get you a calculator. I said, that's just one more thing I gotta hassle with. I said, really, you just, you know, ask any of the managers I work with. I'm not the guy that's using a phone as a distraction when I should be working. And certainly never standing, leaning on my forklift, looking down at my phone when he should be working. And I look over at Wayne, and he is in the pose, doing exactly that. And I'm really not trying to throw him under the bus. I'm not. I try not to be that kind of guy at work, but it was just the timing, and I didn't even point him out. Like, I just look over that way when I say it, and he looks over and he goes, "Oh, like that guy." He said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, I should probably go talk to him. What's his name?" I told him his name. It's like, "Well, you have a good day." I don't know what happened with that. He didn't get suspended because he was definitely back to like, he walked off, and I thought maybe for a while he was suspended because he was gone for like 30 minutes and maybe longer. And then eventually he came back. Wow, look at that garage in the rocks. You'll see that. I've never seen that. That didn't exist last time I went up here. That's like the bat cave. Oh God, I got somebody behind me getting pissed off because I'm blocking. Sorry. That's like the bat cave right there. That's wild. Oh, what a great view of downtown this is. That's why it's all no parking up here. They don't want anybody loitering up here. But hey, I can take the scenic drive. I pay taxes on these roads just like every other Phoenix resident. God, this is such a beautiful drive. I haven't done this in forever. Like, I think it's probably been over 25 years since I've done this drive. So, yeah, anyway. I was kind of relieved because if he'd have got suspended over that, I'd have felt kind of guilty. But yeah, he came back probably 30, 45 minutes later. God knows where he went. And it was just right back to the pose. But I bet he was in that area, like alternating between being gone and doing the Wayne pose for probably 3, maybe 4 hours before a manager finally came over and talked to him. And then he loaded like 3 pallets and then disappeared again. I don't know. I just don't have it in me to slack like that. Like I would just feel confused just even trying to do it. But that's not what I was trying to talk about. God, I've read so much video. It wastes so much. My burrito's gotten cold by now, probably. But I just feel I needed to give a background of this W character, because the first of last night's odd happenstances revolved around him. So anyway, I did get to work on time last night, and kind of started with Alex apologizing for me being on totes, at which point I'm like, no, I love working on totes. Like that's great. I don't get enough of that. And so, generally speaking, when I'm working on totes, sometimes the guys working on totes or working on, I want to say pretty much everyone working on the north side has kind of gotten in the habit of like completely not. This is called Camelhead Drive because it goes towards the Camelhead, by the way. Of just completely blowing off the stand-up and just going and getting their forklifts and just going to that area because they just assume they're going to be assigned to that. And granted, it usually is the same people that are assigned to that, but I just kind of like to be present for stand-up. And on that note, my direct manager changed. It's no longer 7 foot tall Sean. It's now Dustin, which is great. I was kind of worried that maybe something had happened to Sean, but I'm not sure who made that decision, but I think it kind of was probably between the two of them. Discussed that, yeah, 90% of the time these days I'm working directly under Dustin, so probably my designated manager, that area manager, should be a manager whose area I actually still work in on a regular basis. So, but for a while there, I was worried maybe something had happened with Sean, but I saw him today and he seemed to be in good spirits. So I'd be really bummed if he left. He's just kind of been sort of a rock for me in that building, and somebody I could always go to whenever something's upsetting me or I have any kind of personal issue. In fact, he's the one who handled my, oh, this is private through here. I gotta turn around. One who handled my my benefits. When open enrollment ended, and I realized I waited until the very last second and didn't know what the hell to do. Anyway, so So see, some of these guys have gotten in the habit of doing that, which some of the guys, for them to do that, it makes sense, because yeah, they have. I'm on all kinds of exclusive roads I'm not supposed to be on. I might be setting off somebody's alarm turning down this one. It's all right. I'm still on a public street. Ain't nothing they can say about me being here. It does look kind of sus, though. The only thing that road accesses is two very, very pricey homes, private driveways. Oh, and there was a sign that said dead end. Didn't see it. Oopsie. So yeah, I think for W, pretty presumptive to just go grab a pit and head to the north side docks. But yeah, so a lot of times I always go to the stand-up just to see where I'm assigned and see if I'm not assigned. If I'm not assigned, it's not a deal breaker. Like, I can always go work in inbound, or I can always go work in prep and receive. And I want to make a point to work prep and receive it at least once a month, so that I don't lose my permissions for that department and don't get out of practice, because that's a little bit more involved position, and I just don't want to lose my skills over there. I really do enjoy working over there, but just not nearly as much as I enjoy being a forklift operator. And I'm at Camelback Road, 45th place. I wasn't really sure where I was going to come out on this little journey. And now there's all kinds of traffic on Camelback Road, because it's 7:36 and we're well into rush hour traffic. It's all right. I'll pick a back road and turn off onto real soon here. So am I ever going to get to what happened last night? Yeah, I'm working on it. Wow, I'm past 48th. Oh, I know where I want to go. Oops. I didn't do this right. I am on the wrong side of a double yellow line. Y'all didn't see this. This never happened. Trying to get to the bank here. Which is the one I've mentioned many times. This one was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, one of the most famous architects, if not the most famous architect ever come out of Phoenix. Yeah, you can actually see it in the daytime. It's not where I'm going. I'm just using it as a thoroughfare, like you're really not supposed to do. But hey, I'm a Chase customer, right? Right? Yeah, I bank here. It's cool. Trying to get to Lafayette Boulevard. That's quite the scenic drive. And I think, just to make this a little more interesting for you, park right here where it says no parking. Oh my goodness, sun is blinding. Turn this to the right-ish, so y'all can see all the mansions that I'm passing on the right side. And interestingly enough, it didn't used to be mansions on this street, just as the old original Arcadia houses, which were damn nice houses, a lot of them started getting bought out to get bulldozed and replaced by outrageously huge mansions. So hopefully this angle will allow you to see like the original ones, like these here on the right, and some of the enormous mansions that have taken their place. And hopefully the sun coming directly at us doesn't ruin the shot too terrible much. Anyway, so generally speaking, when I get assigned to totes, rather than going directly to get a forklift, since where the stand-up area is, where the docks are where the totes are unloaded from is on the way, I'll walk through there and I'll drop off my bag of stuff there, and then I usually have a bag of stuff that needs to be refrigerated, food and whatnot, drinks, and I'll drop those at the north side break room in the fridge, and then I'll go get my forklift. And when I go through the docks, I'll make a point to just kind of look at just how day shift left it, like how full the tote buffer, how full the tote zones are, how full the trucks are, what trucks are there, if there's trucks that are there that need to be opened, if there's trucks that are empty that need to be closed, that haven't been. Whee! Change of plans. I'm just out for a scenic drive here. This neighborhood is just different. I'm not sure if this is an outrageous home or apartments coming up on the right. I think these are actually luxury apartments here on the right. Oh yes, yeah, I've seen these. I've picked up at these ones before. They're actually on my left now, but I've picked up those before when I was a cab driver. Really, really nice apartments. Yeah, that's where I wanted to come out. I passed that street just a little bit ago and it looked odd. So kind of wanted to get a quick drive down it. Anyway, so I'm walking through just to see, kind of how it is, and it's me and this new girl. Oh yes, a girl. Well, actually a woman, but way younger than me, a girl in my head. And this brand new forklift operator. This is her second day driving. So I've assigned both of us to totes. And I guess she just went directly to her forklift, which of course is a sensible thing to do. I always want to just kind of drop off my stuff so I don't carry it all the way to the forklift. There's crap in my bag, and then also make sure my food gets into the fridge so it's ready for my break. And see the status stuff, so I know what I'm coming back to. So anyway, so I handle all that. I'm going to get my forklift. Didn't see anybody in those areas when I was coming across, and so anyway, I go to the forklift, or I go. It's a bit of a walk to where I pick the forklifts, and I drive the forklift back. And as soon as I get to door 339, which is the one that's kind of its own thing with the big loading zone, the big unloading zone, and the one where I hit the safety barrier several months ago, caused my first suspension, and there's a forklift sitting there with nobody on it. And for a forklift to be sitting in a zone with nobody on it at that close to the beginning of the night just screams Wayne. Like, oh, ain't that some shit. And I knew that he was not assigned to be driving anywhere, because I looked at the board before I left. The board that had me on totes. I kind of looked to see, I wonder how they arranged everything. Okay, these are the people that are driving tonight. These are the people that are in the area I normally work at. Okay, cool. I'm totally down to do totes. So I see that, and I'm thinking, well, this is I'm thinking, I am on totes. Wayne is not on totes. What the hell? But let's see how this plays out, because I already know what's on the board. I get there, and so I go on past 339. That's fine. He can do his pose at 339. We'll see how this works out. I get up to the next one, which is quite a bit separated, which is 335, and the new girl is there, and she's standing by her forklift and looking a little confused, and holy shit, I am right in the sun, I can hardly see it all. I've got to get off of this. Wow, that was absolutely blinding. And let me turn this back to forward. Oh. Wow, that was. My eyes haven't recovered from that yet. Damn. Same kind of thing is happening in this neighborhood, just the size of the mansions that are replacing the old houses is not as extreme. They're not really mansions, they're just big houses over here. But yeah, the ones over on Lafayette, they're just straight up mansions. Anyway, so we walk over and oh my god, I'm totally forgetting his name. Malik, guy's usually doing TDR, opening and closing all the doors on, and he's a learning ambassador now, so he's doing training now, which I think is awesome. He got that promotion. And him and I were friends long before I ever became a forklift operator. I used to run into him on the south side remote break room. We just sit and talk about all kinds of shit. Most of the time music, actually. But so it was really cool when I started working alongside him on the doing the totes on the north side docks. Anyway, he's there, and the new girl is asking him, "Hey, well, I thought I was supposed to be doing totes, but there's somebody else over there." And I'm just kind of giggling, and I'm Uncle Malik. It's like, yeah, that's Wayne, and he's not on the board. He goes, "Really? Could you go double check that?" I'm like, "Sure, no problem." And I go back to double check because I just highly doubt that there's been a change. I think he's just decided he could just show up and work. I'm back on the cool pavement, by the way. So I come back, and I'm like, nope, he's not. And at this point, like, him and the new girl are kind of discussing whatever they're discussing, and as soon as I walk back, Malik kind of walks over to me to be out of earshot of Wayne. He's like, he's not on there yet, huh? I'm like, nope. I said, yeah, he should probably go talk to Chris. Chris being the back half area manager. I mean, Dustin was there last night, but it's, Chris running the show on Wednesday, and he goes, nah, just let him work. It's on Chris. Chris can come talk to him. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. So long as I'm still on totes. He goes, of course you're still on totes. He goes, we'll just pull the gate and have her work. Have you work 333 and 334, and she can just work that little zone in 335. And I'm like, okay. So that's an odd arrangement. I've only seen that happen like 3 times. It never gets assigned that way. It just sometimes ends up happening, and the management lets it keep happening. But usually the person who gets on 335 doesn't have much to do, because there's only one loading zone that's attached to it, and it only holds 4 totes, which isn't much of anything. And you can only buffer, I want to say 6 in the space, the little tiny corral behind it. So, I mean, once you've done that, and I mean, I do that fast, like there's nothing else to do. Walk around, roll TDR straps up, maybe go water spider. If you're someone who knows how to do that and is willing to do that. Anyway, what made that extra weird, and I'm probably boring everybody to tears here, but it was interesting for me. What made it extra weird tonight was the truck that the new girl got was it had totes on wood pallets. Nobody likes totes on wood pallets. They're a pain in the ass for everybody. It's my understanding that when we get loaded totes on wood pallets, it's because they ran out of UPP bases or UPP lids, and so that's how they had to send us the totes. That's just how the other buildings had to get the totes out of it, and it's our job to just suck it up and deal with it. It's extra work for the pit driver because they don't hold as much. In fact, they only hold about 2/3 as much as a regular UPP pallet holds. So you're not filling nearly as much demand with more. You're doing more work to provide less totes as a forklift driver, and it's and also, if you're lucky, the bottom pallet and the top pallet are bound together with shrink wrap. I say if you're lucky because when they're bound together with shrink wrap, you've got to cut the shrink wrap apart and separate it, and that's extra work and it's a pain in the ass. But it's preferable to the alternative, which is where whoever packed those totes didn't bother to pack them, to wrap them with shrink wrap, which invariably causes them to shift in the truck, and the totes on the top pallets to have almost slid off of them, which becomes this mammoth pain in the ass where you actually have to get off your forklift, get in the truck, push them back onto the pallets, which it's awkward, they're kind of heavy, or see if you can maybe maneuver lifting them up and sliding the pallet underneath them and then sliding them back on top of the totes that are under them, and then pull them all out without them being bound together and getting them apart. So fortunately, I wouldn't have even, with the new driver there, like with her being a new driver on her second day, if they were like that, we would have told her, no, don't mess with that. that's a skill level higher than what you have, and we don't want to see you get in trouble for knocking that shit down when that's a train wreck. No. But they were bound in plastic, so she did end up knocking some down, but whatever. We were there to rescue her. It's okay. But anyway, yeah, yeah, they were bound. So I mean, it was more work. At one point, I noticed that she kept pulling them apart and snapping the shrink wrap. And I was like, "Do you need a knife?" And she's like, "No, I'm okay." I'm like, "Okay." I just kept letting her do it. Like it seemed to be working for her. So whatever. You're fine with it. I'm fine with it. Not my problem. I offered a knife. You good? Anyway. So yeah, not only are the wood pallets a pain in the ass, I explained how they're a pain in the ass for us as the forklift drivers. For the water spiders, they're also a pain in the ass, particularly the ones that work. Now, I've never worked a position where, at least not for any length of time, where I'm retrieving totes from inbound. Like the only places I've regularly water spidered has been, or in outbound, has been in inbound where I'm moving product out, and that's a whole separate thing. We don't really use totes in inbound, or in outbound, where again, where I do think some of the outbound water spider use totes, but in the capacity that I do it, I don't. I'm not moving them, not empty ones. I'm moving ones that are already full and bound into pallets and moving them into the loading cells. So wow, I can't believe I've been carrying on for almost an hour. Yikes. If you've made it through this, thank you for being bored enough to listen to me ramble on about this crap. It's warmed up a bit. I'm down to walk now. Anyway, I'm finally getting to what I thought was the most interesting and ridiculous thing that happened tonight. Yeah. Oh, an hour and 15 minutes damn near talking, and I haven't really got there yet. So I'm working the two main doors. Wayne is off being Wayne, in 339, which that's, you know, when he's over there, I let him do what he does. It helps somewhat, and it keeps him out of my hair. I don't know how often he's abandoning his forklift to wander aimlessly, and how often he's just standing there doing the pose. And I don't worry about it. I just keep it handled where I'm at. And normally I'm working all 3 doors, but now I've got the new girl doing the small door with the small load, but trying to cope with the fact that they're totes on wood pallets. Well, she needs to get that truck unloaded at some point, and she needs to, which of course requires the water spiders taking them. Now the pallets on the totes on the wood pallets do make more work for the water spiders that use them, primarily those are the guys going to prep and receive, and then some of the other processing areas where things go into totes. Which I've worked in those areas, but I've only worked as the guy putting stuff into the totes. I was offered to be a water spider, and I declined it, just because I didn't feel like I knew what the whole routine was, and I felt that I was more useful to the manager in that area as a guy who could load totes and with product and not care whatsoever about my rate, because I was still technically a trainee in that department. And then I was without question, immediately once I finished through the whole training process, I was without question going back to inbound, or I'm sorry, to outbound, to be loading trucks, which is considered a more specialized critical role. And so yeah, my rate didn't matter, so I could work on loading products into totes that people that work in that area tend to avoid and not want to mess with, because it drives their rate down and it makes them have to work harder for not as high of a rate. I'm like, I don't care about rate, and you know that I'm working my ass off, so we good. But generally what the water spiders in that department do is they go and get totes nonstop. Just go and get totes, drop them off, unload them, supply all the guys that are doing like what I was doing, loading them up with product, with piles of totes by their workstations. So yeah, the wood pallets are I get it. The wood pallets are more work for those guys, because when they're doing a run to get a load, they're only getting 2/3 as much. That's the obvious problem. But then the other problem is that instead of just having UPP lids and bases that are easy to pile up and can pile up in huge, nice, neat, orderly piles, they've instead got, oh, that is one neglected looking beamer right there. They've instead got to deal with the empty wood pallet, which are heavier and unwieldy and potentially give you splinters. And I enjoy stacking wood pallets, but most people do not. And so then, yeah, they end up having to find a place to stack them, and there's not as many space allotted in those departments to stack them. There are spaces, but they can only be stacked 10 high. So after every 10 pallets on wood, they probably only have enough spaces. I'm not sure off the top of my head, because again, I don't work, and I don't, that's not a job I've done, but I think there's only really room for 2 piles of wood there, and then they've got to run them out of there. So yeah, only 20 pallets, or maybe it's just 10, and then they've got to take that pile of wood pallets to inbound, to where I used to be the guy that was, stacking and loading the wood. They got to take it all the way to there to get rid of it, to make room for more. So yeah, it is more work for them. I get it, but it's your job. You're paid by the hour. Do the job. We need these gone. Well, we ended up having this crazy power struggle last night and on through the morning of water spiders that absolutely did not want to take those ones. I had one guy just got mad about it, like mad. He was like, and Malik came over and opened the door. He goes, man, at first I was going to stand up to him, and I was like, I decided it wasn't worth it, because I was going to go to blows, and this job ain't worth that. But the guy was mad. He's like, I don't want those. I want those. I was basically refusing to open the back, to close the back gate, the back safety gate, so that they could open the front safety gate to take the ones on the plastic, because the ones I was unloading were on plastic. So they would take the ones that she was unloading in the little, just the 4. There's just 4. Just empty that 4 so she can put another 4 in there. Come on. That's all y'all need to do. Take those 4. As soon as those 4 are gone, I'll open these up so she can continue to work. You're stopping her, y'all stopping her from working. These guys don't care. And it became more of a power struggle throughout the night. And of course, every time Wayne would finally get 339 unloaded, they'd all just leave because they didn't want to deal with it. And yeah, the one guy just had it just like, I don't want those. He was straight up pissed. And of course, every time he came back into the area the rest of the night, he just mean mugged me in a big way. Anyway, it continued to happen. And at some points, when I wasn't watching, they would actually open the front gates when I had the back gates still open, and had deliberately not quite filled the loading zone, which is a safety violation. Like, they can get written up for that. They're not supposed to do it, but they would just kind of, he's not looking. Nobody's looking. Let's do it. Well, anyway, it got to the point, at one point before that, Malik actually came over, and he's got notably more authority than I do. I mean, I don't really have any authority at all, let's face it. But, I mean, some people will listen to me because they know I've been there a long time. But yeah, I mean, I'm just wearing a yellow new operator vest, even though I'm not a new operator anymore. I like this one. So, yeah, he's wearing a learning ambassador vest, so that carries a certain amount of weight. And he comes over, and he's like, hey, that truck that she's unloading with the wood has been there too long. It can't stay there that long. You guys need to take the wood ones so we can get that truck out of here. And you're not getting any plastic ones until the wood ones are all gone. You guys got that? Which was like such a turnabout from him after, you know, his thing before of just not wanting to deal with the conflict of the guy that was getting so angry and just opening the gate after he came into my area. It's like, damn, I thought you had my back. Like, not worth it. Well, at that point, he realized it was becoming an issue, but it had been so long. Like, this had carried on from the beginning of the night, from the whole, wow, we've got an extra unassigned driver here that's decided he's going to do totes. It mostly just stands on a forklift and stares into space. We've gone from that to and you know, by that time it's probably about 7:30, and when she actually started working on that truck. And it's after lunch at this point. It's like maybe 1 by the time Malik stood up and said that. It's probably like 1:30 in the morning. And still they were doing their shenanigans of the water spiders were of taking and opening gates to not quite filled zones that I was filling with the ones on the plastic. To get at the ones on the plastic, they wanted the ones on the plastic so bad that when the new girl had knocked some totes down, we were helping pick them up. They opened the gate that they weren't supposed to open, and it's like, man, you guys are bad as kids. Holy crap. Anyway, so that led up to the third break, which happens at like 3:15. Get back about 3:30. Malik typically on Wednesdays, he uses either his UPT or his PTO to get off work early on Wednesday. That's his last night of the week. He just wants to start his weekend a little earlier, which is fine. That's one of the benefits of working at Amazon. You can do that as long as you got the time stored up. So by that time of the night, usually I end up taking over whatever loading zone he was loading, and I can do that in addition to totes, and finish off the last hour and a half of the night, 2 hours, whatever it is left after. It ends up being about an hour and a half of actual work after third break. So anyway, it seemed like by that time she had finally got that truck with pallets emptied. Finally, there were 3 left in the buffer zone, the rest of them into her loading zone, and I'm like, and I had it almost completely caught up. I just hadn't opened the gates for them because I'm still wanting them to get the wood ones out of there. And I told the new girl, like, you know what, it's because at this point it is slow down, because I got your back if you need help, but I'm going to go ahead and start loading trucks since Malik left, and you can just go ahead and take these and fill, and just work on these other doors. And she's like, okay. So she's fine. Oh, sweet girl. I wish I could remember her name. I don't even know if I heard her name. No, I definitely heard her name. I just am not remembering it. Anyway, so anyway, I'm just barely starting working on loading a truck headed to Denver that Malik had started before the break, and these 2 managers come up that I have never met before, never talked to before, I don't know at all, and they're clearly coming to talk to me. they're like, one of them's an AM in the red striped vest. One of them's a PA in the orange striped vest, and they're ooh, more birds. I wonder what's up with all these pigeons. Whatever's going on here, they don't want to leave it. There must be some food or crumbs or something on the ground. I see a bag. Little scavengers. Yeah, so they come over, and the new girl's just unloading totes. I'm not even letting her deal with it. That was, most of that was, I was the one who was refusing to open the gates. I'll definitely answer for it. And getting kind of pissed when they were just opening them when they weren't supposed to. Well, they're kind of gesturing at me to come to them, these other managers, who of course are not familiar with the policies in that area regarding, where people can be relative to working forklifts. And she's busy working, so I can't, and downstacking, so I can't walk where they're trying to get me to walk to, because I'd be walking through an area where I can't, and I don't want to distract her from working because she's so new, And it would, anyway, at that point, I got off my forklift and I walked into the next loading zone only and kind of gestured them to me. And I was just like, hey, sorry, I can't walk through there while she's working. And she's new. I don't even want to like sidetrack her. And they're like, oh, okay, no problem. We didn't really know. I kind of gestured them into like the open. They're like, they actually asked me, which is kind of funny to see management asking me something like that, but hey, they don't work in that department. And presumably don't really work around the forklifts in any of the docks. But yeah, they asked me, they're like, can we walk in there? I'm like, oh yeah, sure, they can come up right at the gate, no problem. They walk up and they're like, yeah, we've got our water spiders complaining that you're not complaining that you guys are refusing to close the back gates to let them get totes. At which point I explained pretty much everything I've just overkill explained about how they're just like, no, they're just refusing to take the ones on wood pallets, and they need to take the ones on wood pallets. And they're like, oh, well, aren't the ones on wood pallets the dirty ones or the broken ones, like that they can't use? Because that's what they told us. They said they can't use that. And I'm like, yeah, they're lying because they're lazy. Anyway, interesting discussion. Kind of funny where that went. Where they're like, oh, thank you for letting us know. Walked off. I wish I'd have got their names or exactly where they worked at, because I'm a little curious. But I feel like I just defended what I did, and I feel like what I did was right. But a little bit later, I forget what it was. I needed to talk to Chris because I finished the truck going to Denver, and I just asked him, hey, did you hear about the whole wood tote debacle? And he's like, is that just like, no, is that what those other managers were over there talking to you about? I'm like, yeah. And I kind of explained to him like what had happened. And we weren't involving him in it. You know, he's got a department to run it and not deal with petty shit like that. But I explained to him what was going on. He's like, well, tough shit on them. They need to take them and deal with them. I'm like, yeah, that's what I told him. So anyway, fun times. Probably boring for y'all to listen to, but I found it. It made for a very entertaining and interesting night of work for me. And I you know, I hate to be the bad guy. I might have pissed some water spiders off at me, and most of them generally really like it when I'm working totes. But goddamn, that poor new girl needs to be able to work, and you guys are stopping her from doing her work, and we can't have a single truck stuck full of totes in a dock for that many hours. Like, that's not supposed to happen, because you guys are going to be finicky about totes being on wood pallets. It's not such a big deal. Just work with it. You're all paid by the hour anyway. Anyway, made for an interesting and fun night of work. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap it up. Eat my damn cold breakfast burrito. Thanks for coming with me on this stupid drive and the walk and listening to my story. And like and subscribe for more of me talking to myself at a later date.